Okay, in my previous session I was talking about aggregations and some of the aggregation functions, sum, min, max, and average. These are some of the aggregation functions we have looked at, and we also seen input parameters, using input parameter in a serious view and calling that serious view which has input parameter. So when we created a serious view which has input parameters, and we created another serious view which is going to call the serious view which has input parameters in it. So we also seen how do we pass the value for those input parameters in the consumption view. These are the two different topics. We also looked at the reading the serious view or using the serious view in OpenSQL, like any BAP program. We read the content of the serious view in an ABAP program. In another example we have seen in a previous session. So today we're going to talk about a new topic, which is associations. So this is going to be kind of an most important topic of the serious concept. So associations, we use these objects or the associations in serious view almost everywhere. So this is it's kind of a very important one in almost every video of this S/4HANA series. So what is association? Associations from the context, it's like a join. It's not a join, it's like a join. It's the concept of join applies in associations as well. So the biggest difference, the difference comes when association, uh, when you're not really asking for a specific column from the association target. So that's the difference between association and a join. So you can actually postpone the join execution to the later point in time of the serious view video. So you don't understand when I talk about this point by something like a definition. So the reason for it is the join is right. You're going to make a join between two data sources, and you're going to um, use the columns from either the left up data source or the right out data source, or it can be both. But in case of association, you don't have to specify. Uh, even though you're going to use association, the association makes a join condition automatically. That's what a SQL join is created, but the join will not get executed until you ask for it. So as we will see how that is going to happen. So until my client query asks for a specific column from the association target, the association will never get executed. So you may have 10 associations defined in CDS view, and those 10 associations make 10 different joins, provided a client query is asking for a column from the one of the associations, and that's the time those joins get created and executed during the runtime. So we're going to see how that is going to happen. That is going to be the first benefit, and the second benefit is you can reuse this association. You cannot reuse the joins. The join is specific to that particular view or particular select statement. But if you create an association, you can use this association in multiple places in your VDM model. So doesn't have to be in the same CDS view, but it can be anywhere in your system, which means it's more flexible in reusing it, and it builds the relation between those two data sources. And third one, you also have something related to foreign key associations like lookup tables, check tables kind of concepts you can have with associations, which we will see when we are talking about input help, value help, or whatever you call F4 help. There are different names for input help. So during those situations, you can get the required input help from the association target. So for example, you are working on sales order data, and you got a column which is associating to something in dimension table. The dimension table uh, has a text and column, for example, country code and country text in that association, and you want to get the value help from that association, from the data source. So that's the situation you're going to use this association and get the value help or input help from those. So there are multiple uses with association. So you get to use in most every CDS object you will see an association. So if it is only a join requirement, you can use joins. You don't have to go with association. If you know that it is going to be a specific join, then you apply the join. And you know that, and if you know that it is going to be something not going to restrict as a join, it is something more than join, then you will use the association. So when to use what, you will know when you completely understand about association in detail. So let's go and see some of the examples with associations, and then we understand that in detail. So the entire session we're going to spend on this topic of association. Okay, this is topic number 9. This is called association. So we got 6 or 7 different examples prepared for association. They are basic one, but we'll go and do a lot of other, we'll keep even in the further examples, we will be using associations a lot. So it's not just these examples. I will keep using the associations everywhere in the next examples as well. So which means this is not only getting completed in this session, but this just the topic will be completed in this session. So let's start with the first example. It's going to be the 9. I'm going to start with a simple association. I'm going to copy this one and go back to my local objects. Oh, sorry, favorite packages. Inside my favorite packages, I'm going to go into the training folder and then go just data services and choose the data definition. And I'm going to say association 1. I can call this as association 1. I'm going to put this in the same transport. That's the next, and then finish. So good, I can use my template here. So let me start with the template. So there is a this is a join template. This is basic view, and view with association. This is going to be something what I wanted to use. I'm going to say finish. So like every other time what we were doing, we're going to do copy paste this in the bottom, and then I'm going to replace the object according to our understanding. My SQL view is going to be this. I'm replacing that. There's no change to that. And compare filter, yes, we'll look at that. This is important for when you're working on associations. So all in our previous examples, we are commenting this or removing this annotation, the compare filter annotation. So we'll see what value it makes or what difference it makes if you have true or false. Not in this example, but in another example of association which we planned in the same session. So I'm going to comment this one. So similarly, authorization check, I don't want to have any, it's fine, I'll come back to that. I have my define view statement here, and this is going to be the template. I'm going to replace this. I think I should be okay with the name what I have here. And then select from the data source name. My data source name is going to be here. So I'm going to keep the source data set, which is my T001 table. And I'm going to put that association. This is a cardinality. I'll come back to cardinality later in the next example. So I'm going to say target data source. This is going to be my target, what I'm going to represent here. In this case, it is T005, which is country data. So we have used this example in the joins example, same thing, just doing it in a different way. I'm not giving an alias name for the association. I'll come back to that in the later topic. So I'm going to remove this one. And then I can use the projection dot element. In projection, a dollar projection is going to get your source, which is going to represent T001. And right, I can also represent, instead of dollar projection dot element, I can directly do my T001 table dot, just making a join condition here on in after on condition. So I'm going to reuse this one, MANDT, and also here I'm going to say association name dot target element. So since I don't have an alias name, I'm going to use the target, which is T005T. Okay, so it's very simple join you would have done in the previous example. So just having a join condition on client, and as well as got another column which is land one. This is country code. I'm going to put that here, and then the next thing, sorry, the next thing is going to be your columns list. So here you can list out the association name columns. I have defined these 4 columns. Yeah, should be okay. Okay, that's it. I'm going to say okay to this one. So basically, if I go back to this one, association I'm creating here, and just reading from one table and association to the other table. And if you see this one here, if I'm representing any column from this association, so from the target T005T, I have to specify that the association target explicitly. When we are using the join, we don't have to do that, because unless if it is a non-unique column, we don't have to specify that. So you know, for example, if land one is in both tables, then that is the time you'll have to uniquely represent that particular column with the table name associated. That is the regular SQL syntax. But when especially working with serious syntax also, it applies the same for joins. But for associations, you'll have to explicitly define the table name in front of the columns if they are taken from the target of the association or the association itself. So that is one thing which we will have to make a note of it. Even though the column is unique in the target or the association, we still have to represent the table name. Okay, this is done. You can see the data preview. So the same data set we have got. You can also see something, a SQL generator for this one. So for that, you can go to open with data preview. Sorry, not the data preview. I was looking at show SQL create statement. So this is a SQL which is created here. So it's saying if you see this create view, this is a native SQL statement. You can just take this one and run it in database. It exactly works. You can see that in the back end for the code what you wrote inside these areas, it is generating a create view, database view, which is called association. Then select of these columns from T001, and then it's making a left outer join to the T005. So we didn't specify a left outer join. By default, an association is going to create a left outer join to the target. And then you have the condition, which is on MANDT, and also land one. So this is the join condition that this is going to use for the you know to join the target, which is T005. So it's the simple SQL which is creating for the for the particular serious view. So I'm going to say close this one and then go to the next example and see this time. I'm going to copy paste the entire thing with comments so that you can understand. So this is, I have filters, and also I've got a name for this association. So we'll have to understand this one a little carefully. So this is a kind of another confusion we always used to have. Let's go into the system, and then core data service, sorry, data definition, and I'm saying association 2. Going to say name it, and then say 2 association 2. Okay, and this one I'm fine to have the same syntax to be used from this place, but I'm going to use my code. So you can see here, now I have cardinality, which was proposed by template before, and I also gave a name to the association. So this name is not for the target. So usually when you give alias name to any of the object, you just give it after that. If you do the similar syntax with join, the alias name which comes after as is for that particular table. But in case of association, it doesn't work in that way. So this alias name country is not for the T005T. So we're going to see the difference. So why it is different in SQL. So the country is the name or alias for the entire association, which makes this relationship together for these two data sources. And the rest of is same. So you have the association, the view name, and you have the select from T001, same, T005T is your target, and then here I'm name the country. And then in the join condition, saying C, which is the alias for your source table. Instead of using T001, you're using an alias, and for the target T005T, you're using this country. You're using an association name. So it is actually not the T005T replacement, but an association replacement. We'll understand how this is different when you generate a SQL for this one. So this is one thing. Giving a alias name for the association is one thing. Not to get confused for the alias for this table. It's a different thing. And the second thing is the join cardinality. So 0 to 1 means, but that is the default cardinality for a join to happen. 0 to 1 means you are expecting at least, not at least, either 0 record or 1 record. So, but maximum record you can expect from the target is just 1 record. So from the target, for every 1 record, so 0 to 1 is not from source to target. 0 to 1 doesn't have to do anything with your source. So there's nothing related in terms of cardinality from this source. So from the target perspective, I'm saying, so for this table, for every 1 record of T001, there is a possibility of either get nothing or get 1 maximum. So if you say 0 to 2, you may describe the cardinality as 2 records per 1 record from source. And you can also say 0 to star or 1 to star. So minimum 1 and then keep star as many. So 1 to many relationship. It's very important to define the cardinality. If you don't define the cardinality, it is going to be 0 to 1, 0, 1. Or you can also represent this as 1, just like that, which means 0 to 1. And if you just define it as 0 to star or 1 to star, something like that, if you specify this one, a join get executed and it times the data, it is going to get you wrong results. Well, I'll show you how that is going to happen in a simple Excel file. But with 0 to 1, I'm going to run this one. Say activate this one. And I'm going to say, I'm going to show the first alias name difference. So I'm going to say SQL statement. Show SQL create statement. And then you can see this A0 is the alias what SAP or SQL is giving. So it is given to T005T. So the alias name what you represented is not shown up in SQL. So SQL doesn't understand the name what you gave there. The name I gave is country. It is a representation of a association. It is not an alias for either this one. It is the one. It's not. This is not representing the target. It is representing your association itself. So that's what we're saying in the SQL. So you can see that the source is C because that's what we put an alias, and then the T005T we didn't give any alias. So SAP or system took A0 as alias. If you have a new table, it's going to give A1, A2, A3. So that's how SAP or SQL is going to give alias name. This alias 0 is the default alias which SAP is giving for that table. And then the alias what you give is for the association, or it is not going to be shown in the SQL. Doesn't have to do anything with your T005T. Okay, so that is how you will understand. And it is something called here country dot lan1. So if you just say code completion, now it's my code completion is working. You can see that this underscore country is what is the association. So if you say country of underscore country association and then just leave that like that, I can do that. So what it means, you're saying I wanted to get all the fields of the association. Let's say if you have 10 columns from the source T001 and then another 5 columns from T005T, so total 15 columns. And you wanted to, instead of writing those 15 columns here, you can just simply say underscore country, which means you are exposing the entire association to the next level. So you don't have to write select star, which makes you all columns to be read as part of the series. At the same time, you don't want to keep all the columns in there, but you can just, somebody asking me, how do I make all the columns consider for this association? This is how you do. You just give the association name, and that is going to expose all the columns of this the source and target together to the next level. So I can do that, but there is no need for me to do that example. So instead of that, I'm saying underscore country association and then giving the LAN1 column. So I'm saying just need to have LAN1 to be exposed to the client query or to the next query. So that is how it makes your association ad hoc. This is called ad hoc association. It's just the name SAP gave. So you can, if you're taking a column specifically with the representation of association, and that is called association. And it is directly called. It's not postponed. So if you have something like this, the join gets executed. Because you are using this as a path expression. You probably would have heard about path expressions as well. So you can consider this as a path expression. Association with the column name is also called path expression. If you are asking this path expression or you're representing a column as part of path expression, which means the join will happen. If you don't say this one and then just leave this underscore country, and then you're postponing the join to the client, which is next serious view. And then if the next serious view is asking something like this syntax in there, and that's when the join gets executed, because you wanted to get the LAN1 from the as a result of this association. If you don't want to do that in the client query, which is okay, even though there's an association, it doesn't get run. So basically, in real life time examples, life examples like sales header and item. So if you wanted to do a header level analysis like net revenue for entire document level, and you may have an association to item, but you don't want to do the item level columns in the path expressions in the base layer. So you may have association to item, and then some of the queries which are the consumptions view which are using the item level data, and then you represent those item level data with the association dot those item columns, and that's when the join executes from header to item and then retrieves the information for it. So you're postponing the join execution of item, header to item, for your business user to take an action. Okay, So if the business user not going into the item level analysis, you still go on, you're fine with a header level analysis without a join to be run or executed in the back. So it gives you a lot of performance benefit, because you may have, like in the bigger query, you may have 10, 20, 50, or 20, 30 association, and it depends on the business user whether he is going to use this. He doesn't know whether you're using an association. All he or she knows is running a query in client, and by looking at the statistics you can assume that, okay, this is not something get executed, put that in association, so that the join is not run until the person is requesting for that column in the path in the client query itself. So that's the major benefit of association. If someone is asking, uh, how do I get benefit? Yeah, this is how you will come to the next example when we are doing a nested association, and we will be able to know how the join gets executed. So I'm going to close this one. I'm not saving it. So we learned three new things here: the association alias, association join condition, ad hoc association, and exposed association. We haven't seen exposed association, how it is going to look like, but we'll come back to that. Also, it looked at the cardinality. Let me go to the next example. Exposed association. This is what we've just talked about. And you can understand what is join postponing with this example. Okay. Serious association 3. Okay, and then next, and then finish it. I'll remove this one. Yeah, the comments, if you see, make association public, that's the standard comment what they have given or SAP given as part of template. So if you just give association name, you're making this public. So that public means you can use that association in another serious view, in the serious view which is using this. So this is okay. So I have the same thing. Here you can see that I have the same example, but I've given these two, there are two associations defined, one to this T005T, that is country, and then 0, if I don't specify 0 to 1, by default it is 0 to 1 by default. So that's the cardinality syntax what I gave, which is good. And then similarly to the currency as well, I gave the cardinality based on currency column join. This is, and then I represented some of the columns from the T005 table, which is, sorry, T001 table. And then you can see that I have just given the associations public or exposed. I'm not asking any column to be, to be automatically read or to be used here. So this both joins will not get executed until someone is asking in the next level. For example, even in the next level serious view also, I can use one country dot one of the columns in the country association, and I can just keep the currency association just like that. So even in the next level also, I'm just exposing the 0 to the currency association just like that, but using the country as a ad hoc association. So which means I'm postponing the currency association even further to the next level. So that's how you can postpone multiple number of times those associations in the top of the hierarchy. So if you say so I'm going to use this one and then consume this in another serious view. Okay, can say activate it. It's done. I'm going to open another data definition for you. I'm going to name this as 4, say 3 and 4. Next, next, finish it. Replace this and then put the name. Oops, this is not the one I wanted to do. Copied. Oops, oh, this one. Okay, so now you can see I'm reading the previous association which is created, association 3. That is the association 3. I think I have the reading, yeah. I'm defining a new series view by reading the previous previous series view. I'm saying, if you can recollect from the previous example, there are 2 associations exposed to the next layer. So here I'm going to use those 2. Currency, I'm still exposing it to the further level, not used in the path expressions. This is called path expression. So I used to get confused a lot in the initial stage. What is path expression? The definition of the path expression in the documentation really confused me a lot. So path expression of a column is you are navigating or giving the exact path or route to where do you go and get that column from. So the path expression for LAN1 is to the country, and the country is an association which you can find it in the underlying base series view. So here the path expressions are represented from the association. So when I use this path expression, and that means the country join is going to get executed as part of the join to the country association is going to run. I'm trying to say when I run this series view with these columns, since I have requested for land 1 and land X column, which are from the country association, those joins get executed, that particular join gets executed. But since I haven't still touched the currency columns, currency association columns, it is not going to run. Okay, so you can do that right now. Say, activate it, and then run it. Open with data preview. So I'm requesting only these 2 columns from one association. Still the other, so one join happened. Other join didn't run. We're still postponing that to the next level. That's about another example what I have got to show. So this is very important. So I spent quite bit of time on explaining this topic of exposing an association, an ad hoc association, and path expression, and cardinality in defining the association, and the join condition what you describe in the association. So you can also see there is something, instead of using the source in the join condition, you can also use dollar projection. So this is what a template is giving. Dollar projection is going to get you to the source T001 columns, and then you can write that as the dynamic alias, not to use the alias from C, because if you're writing this one, let's say if you just wanted to do the code completion, and then you're getting all the columns from the C as part of the join to be displayed, and then you're going to align with this condition from the target association. And then the C is what something would be hard coded it. So I don't want to hard code this to the C, and just left this one. I don't want to keep C at all, just remove this one. And then still I can use that. If I just go and see, this is going to give an error, right? So I don't want to give the C there. Let me put the dollar projection. So it's giving me pop-up. So it's going to be fine now. So similarly, dollar projection, whatever the source is going to be, it goes into the dollar projection. So that's it. It's still good. So you can also here, I don't want to give another association again with C. I can make it dollar projection dot. Okay. Come on. So I think finally we come to the template what it was suggesting with cardinality, with alias name, with dollar projection, and then alias name dot the column name from the target in the join condition. We have exactly covered um, all the syntax, the basic syntax for this for the. Okay, it's mandate. Sorry, I completely lost. It's dollar projection dot mnd, and then similarly dollar projection dot wrs. This is good. So you can still do this one. I'm not activating it, but it should be okay to activate and do this one. Okay. The next topic what I'm going to talk about is filtered association, but it is G, so that I'm missing F. So there's something else which I have in the other sheets. So yeah, example of associations used in IPM. So this is a kind of another example, which is I'm not going to activate it, but I'm going to show you just with another different tables. So here, yeah, so select from invoice header, inner join to sales order on header ID to the sales order ID, which is not invoice header has also UID, and then it's joining with that. And then association one-to-one, at least one-to-one means you are definitely expecting one record from the target, which means you cannot have zero records. See, with the join, it is going to expect, because if you look at this invoice thing, if there is a document in invoice document for a sales order, you will definitely have that sales order document in sales order data, right? Because without having a sales order, you cannot use that sales order in invoice. So something like this is a referential integrity. So that's why they put one-to-one. Sorry, at least one should be there. This is the buyer association. So the buyer data, sorry, it's my Siri activated. So this is a buyer data, which is expecting one, whatever the column what you are currently having, it's going to have definitely one record from there. So there are multiple associations I have for the, this is one and another one, and then you define the key. And then you also have semantics. I think we have talked about the semantics in the previous session, so it should be okay. And then in the finally, I said invoice items exposed, it published to the next level. So invoice items, this entire association is open to the next level. So I'm not specifying any column from that association. I'm saying entire association will be given to the next level. And I have the where condition here. So you can run this one and then see how it's going to work. This is going to be okay. Okay, and then next one I have here is my filtered association. This is a kind of a topic which you don't see a lot in your examples of, or in your sales or finance model in there, but we'll have to take a look at and understand what is the filtered association is about. And there is a annotation which is required with this. If you remember, we was talking about compare filter. So the compare filter annotation is important for, in this case, of filtered association. Let us take a look at that. I'm going to create a new one. Filtered, that's fine. Something. Okay, I'm going to say this next, and then next, and then finish it. I'll just go to the, it looks exactly, there's no difference in defining the filtered association other than that you have something here in the filter. For example, when we are joining these two tables, we always have a join condition on the client, and the LAN one. If you remember in our very first initial example, I was also having another join condition here saying C dot SPR spras is equal to English, right? So you can have this filter on the join condition itself. You do that. You generally, when you're working in SQL, you do this kind of things, right? So which is called implied join condition. So you can sometimes you wanted to apply a join condition from column source, a column from source is equal to column from target, and also you kind of a hard code that value so that it works as a filter technically, but you want keeping that in a join condition. So that's something what you generally do it in SQL. So the filter condition, I mean, you can do it in where clause or you can do it in the join condition. It's not something new I'm talking about. In SQL, this is very common. Sometimes some people, sometimes they use them in the join condition, these kind of filters, or they just put at the end after select in the where clause. So but in my example, it's not a simple join condition for one time. I'm making an association here. This join it's an association. So I don't want to keep my filter as part of join. I wanted to make my filter as a filter only, not as join as part of join, because I'm going to use this association in multiple places, and I don't want this specific filter to be associated every time. Some of the places I wanted to use a different filter as to the association. I wanted to use this association as association itself, plain association with specific business key columns, not a column which is meant to be for a table for filtering the data to be exist in there. So I wanted to keep the filter as filter and the join as join. So in those cases, I'm going to remove this one filter from there. I'm going to keep that in the path expression. So you can see that the country is my target, and I'm specifying SPRAS is the language is equal to 1 is the syntax for assigning for the LAN1 column. I have to assign this filter for any of the column what I'm representing from the country target association. So this English filter applies on the association, and then it automatically it applies to the LAN one as well. So that is how you are postponing or actually removing the filter condition from the from the join place to the expression path expression place, so that the association is called filtered association. So that's how you make this association which is filtered to this particular data set. You can also use the where class, but that is something else. You're not having a filter on the association. You're filtering an entire data set of the select statement, because you may have another association next to it, and then if you're going to keep the where clause here, which applies to both data sets together, because your select statement is for n number of associations, but you wanted to filter the data for this particular association and the data which is coming from that association. Instead of putting the filter condition in the join, you're going to move this to the path expression. So this is called your filter association. Okay, I'm going to there's any error here. Looking at that, there's no AND condition. I'm going to take it out and then say activated. So you can run this one and then should be okay. Yeah, I also wanted to show you something here. Actually, I'm going to take to the next example, which is inner join override. All the time I was saying, when I was showing you the SQL generated for the association, it was by default creating a left outer join, right? So the left always default left. So you cannot have inner join created for your association. So, but if you wanted to do the default behavior to be overridden, so you can specify with an addition when you're defining the column of the path expression, you're going to say inner. So that is going to make you as an inner join to be run. Let's take this example and then this should be it, the final one, I guess. Yeah, that's the final one. I'm going to say to the data definition, this is for the inner association. Okay, so next, I'm just overriding the default behavior of an association with this. So I take it out. Oh, I forgot to explain the compare filter. I'll come back to that. Yeah, so here I'm saying inner join to get the and say activate it. And then go to my SQL generator for this one. Oh, still it is left outer. Let me go and do the press. I don't want this press to be here. Okay, and let me run this one. If I am not getting the inner join, there is something else I'm missing. Yeah, it is inner join. So when I do that inner in the brackets after the association name, it's going to get to the inner join runs. And as long as you don't have any record common in these two data sources, it's going to behave as nothing results come out. So that's about overriding the default behavior of left outer join of association with inner join. And if you remember the filtered association, I was talking about the filtered association. So if you are using the filter associations, like let's say you may have multiple filters apply in the same way, and then sometimes you may end up having two filters getting to or leading to the same filter condition. For example, one filter condition from association 1 is leading to a filter on country Germany, and another association or another association filter is also leading to a filter on countries Germany, which makes two different filters but giving the same filter criteria. So in those cases, if you say compare filter true, it's going to first take run through all the filters, and if it identifies similar execution of the filters, and it's going to remove the second one and keep just one and then runs it. If you don't do this one or keep the false, what it is going to do, it will make two different filters, and which will impact on performance. Of course, the result set will not be impacted, but you have to run those two different filters or three or four, one after the other, and it will slow down your performance. So that is the importance of compare filter. Okay, so yeah, that's about associations. I'm going to at the top of the clock, I'm going to say few questions, talk about few questions here.